and praise to the whole of man of creation. Chant down no Babylon, chant down Babylon, chant down Babylon, chant down Babylon. Give thanks and praise, give thanks and praise, give thanks and praise, give thanks and praise to the whole of man of creation. Do you remember the days of slavery? 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 And the beatles. Do you remember the days of slavery? And the work was so hard. Do you remember the days of slavery? And the users. Do you remember the days of slavery? Till they refuse us. Do you remember the days of slavery? Do you remember the days of slavery? Do you remember the days of slavery? The big fat coat. You jolly pull it, we pull it. We must pull it. With shackles around our necks. Believe me, and this is so close. Do you remember the days of slavery? Do you remember the days of slavery?
Tinastilin, greetings. At the Masagana, the days of slavery are not too far away. The grand jury of the United States is giving us evidence that the days of slavery have been reintroduced and re-intensified. The struggle for justice and liberty and the pursuit of happiness seem to be constricted to a certain race of people, confined to the people who call themselves the Northerners. Previous program, Iman was speaking to the behavior in Ferguson of the grand jury there, and now we have a repetition in New York. Black man must begin to reconsider the value of himself, his whole life, globally. Time for a serious recheck into our journey into this Western Hemisphere. Pursuing, hoping, praying, taking all our burdens to the Lord. And now we find that the Lord cannot respond. That the life of the black man now is more perilous than during the days of slavery. Because during the days of chattel slavery, the black man was an important unit of work. In this modern dispensation with computers and technology, the body is no longer necessary. So we have to watch it, what's going on. Laws are no longer applicable. We have to check the whole system. There is more evidence, mounting evidence, that the people of melanin have a particular problem, and their problem comes directly from the people who are lack melanin. What is it about the black people that is so disgusting to the people who are white? What is it that is so hateful about blackness? What is it that creates this deep hatred for the African by the people who are of European and Caucasian descent? I will get to the source of this, because there will be no justice until this racial issue is brought to the surface. No justice as long as the controllers look like those who must be our saviors. Time to rethink the whole philosophy of America and the Western world, and Plato and his republic, and the importance of slavery in that republic, which is the foundation of the American society. Metamorphosis exploring the depth of our enslavement and the evil nature of the system that they say is just ice. Black man, time to resurrect self.
You think that's so? I know so. The Nastlin, Dana Xavier Jimasgan, Sata Amasagana.
This is it. Originally. Thou shalt not steal, said the Almighty. The King of Kings is here, who rules eternally.
Honor and majesty is before him. A false witness shall not be unpunished, saith the Lord.
To eat from thine own vineyard is sweet to the soul.
But to steal from thy brethren is bitter to the belly.
Behold, how good and how pleasant it is. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity.
What a great day it will be when God's people shall be free.
There shall be a time of eternal day.
Please lead us to that land, Lord, that is far away.
The gates of Zion are open wide.
In thee, O Lord, we will abide. From my tree of version that bringeth forth fruit in its season, Sata Amatigana, originally. Love ye one to another. God loves us all. Love me and I love you. God will hear us when we call. While rolling down this righteous track, we won't be turning back, oh no. Like I said, originally, this is it. Sata Matidana.
Yes, I give thanks for another occasion, sitting and reason in the Metamorphosis. I'm your host, I'm Dr. Iman Blak, taking you through the paces, encouraging, motivating, challenging the thought processes inspiring the meditation to move outside of that quote-unquote box. We were never thinkers inside a box, so we don't have to be thinking outside the box. There is no box. We simply think. Free and wide, overstanding the powers of infinity and the powers of thought. Moving faster than light, the powers of thought. The thing that is going on in the situation in the world now, America has made itself a centerpiece that even the United Nations now have to be making statements about the barbarity occurring in that just ICE system. That ICE system that is supposed to be just, but just for whom? And that system penetrates the entire Western world and even into these Caribbean spaces, because America represents the great democracy. And the greatest democracy also is the greatest military power in the Western world. And the greatest democracy claim that they're the greatest economic power. So the economics and the politics and the military puts this place, this plantation of deep in the north, at a level where it attracts all forces, people from all around the planet, to get into this particular place. It has some philosophies and some ideologies that sound rosy from the outside, that glitters from the outside. But when you get inside the belly of that beast, all those philosophies and ideologies become a different reality. And the reality transforms itself into a nightmare for black people. Because as much as the African black man is living in North America, he's not far away from the apartheid structure. Because race is the governing force. So there's an illusion of free because of the economic system. But the political and psychological system is apartheid. It is race, and the white race dominates. And it reflects itself in what they call their legal system, in the penal system, where the prisons are fully populated by the people of melanin, where the industries controlled by the prisons are controlled by white people. People who make the slippers that the prisons have to wear is white people, families, and have those productions. So the black man in America is really still a piece of economic tool, a piece of the plantation, a cog in the wheel. He has no great moral strength. Because when it comes to the test, which is about morality and justice and truth, there is something lacking. We find that there's something seriously lacking, not just in North America, but right across this Western Caribbean space. This thing about justice. Who is it for? Who represents whom? And the role of money in these Caribbean spaces and the role of race in places like North America. So the black people have to re-examine them position in the world, not just politically, but religiously. Because our religious training have locked us into this democratic thinking that I and I free. And that the images that we have been given to pray to, ironically, look like the white man who controls the system. So psychologically, we are praying to an image that looks like the oppressor. And the oppressor looks to himself. So how do I and I get justice? We can't take these burdens to the Lord anymore, because the Lord look like the man who controls the court system. Where is the justice? Where is God in the scheme of things for black people now? Where is the God of justice to respond to the needs of black people? Or is there none? You see, the youths who are coming through since the internet age, different generation, they're not so deeply grounded into these Bible stories. They're into science and technology. And so the questions we're asking now is practical. How can there be justice in a system that is built upon racism? 1776, the white men from Europe invade North America. And in their invasion, they commit genocide. Genocide against the native population, the nations the Sioux, and all the various nations that they call Indians, and reduce these nations to reservations in the name of their Christ and in the name of their God. Black people must wonder, in the court system, when the people in the court system put their hands on the Bible and swear in the name of God and commit these types of activities against black people, we have to wonder, in the name of whose God? Time for profound internal introspection. Time for some hard questions to ask ourselves. Time for the wake up. Because if there is no justice in the system, then we have to begin to rethink how we're going to continue as a people. How do we build our own economy? Should we redirect our forces out of these churches? Yeah, our money. A revolution in our money. Because the system, then the people, the system does not support the people of melanin. The people of melanin have to begin to think about their own thinking, their own ideology. Have to think black. That's the way it is.
Love and unity is what we want in the ghetto. Love and unity is what we need in the ghetto. No more love, and I'll tell you. I was glad when they said unto I and I. Now come let us go into the house of the Lord God, Jah Rastafari. And I feel shall stand in thy gate, so I Jerusalem. I Jerusalem is built as a city which has come back together. But the tribe goes up. The tribe of the true and living God, Jah Rastafari. And to the testimony of Israel, and I know give thanks and praise unto his great and terrible Jah Rastafari. Jones of judgment, Jones of living house of great David. I know pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Sin I those that love last day I must prosper. Love during thy words and prosperity in thy policies. And I praise and companion no sake. Cause of the house of Lord God Jah Rastafari. We know say peace, love, unity, and black harmony. And I will lift up my eyes and to the instruments cometh I help. So I help coming from the Lord God Jah Rastafari who made heaven and earth. Lord God Jah Rastafari shall not suffer and I foot to be moved. The only that keepeth I and I sons of Israel shall not slumber. The only that keepeth Israel I shall neither slumber nor sleep. Lord God Jah Rastafari is an I keeper. Lord God Jah Rastafari is an I light and I salvation. Through his protection the sun shall not smite us by day and the moon by night without say. Lord God Jah Rastafari shall preserve us from all evil. So he shall preserve our souls. He shall preserve our going out and our coming in. From this time henceforth now and forevermore. From the uprising of the sun unto the going down the same. Lord God Jah Rastafari name and worthy to be praised. So heal him full and heal him dread. Heal Abashanai, Abashanti I said my black mojo tanaka kanaka. Na Isla Diambla, my bra. I said I lightning clap.
And so after so many years of struggling in the North American plantation, the African there cannot find any justice, no equality in the law. And the law is what's supposed to be the fibers that make up a society, the laws. And if there's no equality in the law, then there will forever be war. There will always be injustice. There's always be the unemployed. And so that great American democracy is really built upon a philosophy that was really constructed by what who the Western world considered to be the greatest philosopher. A man called Plato. Plato. Plato now is supposed to be the brain that's going to generate the philosophy that was going to be the foundation of the republic. And this republic now is the Great America, the Great American Republic. And so if you understand Plato and you begin to read up the philosophy of Plato, I was forced to read the Republic. It's a big, big book, tedious reading of dialogues between men reportedly having discussions on things of philosophy and government and the nature, all sort of things that I and I used to have as reasonings. And Plato is the man given credit now for establishing the foundation of this the philosophy of this republic that is eventually going to become America. So if you understand the republic, it is easy now to overuse why the black man will forever be in the same position in America. Because the republic, in its philosophical makeup, has space for all different categories of people, including slaves. To understand the philosophy of the republic now, you have to check out Plato, you have to look into Greek philosophy and the whole understanding of the Greeks, and knowing that the Greeks got their ideas out of ancient Africa. So if we know the foundation of the philosophy of things is really African, but Plato takes it and he puts his own European perspective. And Plato creates this notion of a republic, of which America represents, the great democracy, where it is controlled by a small, wealthy, white group. This group call themselves the gold people. So in the same way, you have medals at the Olympics, the gold, the silver, and the bronze. In Plato's republic, we have these same kind of people. We have the gold people, the silver people, and the bronze people. By now, you must begin to visualize who are going to be the bronze people, who are going to call themselves gold, and who will be the silver people. So this republic is being established along the lines of race and birthright. And within that republic, there must be slaves, because if there's no slaves, then there can be no leisure time for the wealthy and the very rich. So the American Union, the gathering of these states to promote these type of philosophies now, it became critical that slaves be a part of the society. And the white man, after he had already enslaved himself in Europe, had broken away from his own enslavement and decided that it's time to enslave some other people. Well, the natives of North America weren't very, what you call, resilient. And so they perished under much war and disease and liquor. And they were driven into reservations. And so the need was there to develop a different set of slaves, more arduous. And so the African people, the black people, were seized upon as the type of human cargo that could be brought into the West and to transform this wilderness into a paradise for white people. So we understand that slavery then is a foundation, it's part of the foundation of America, it's a part of the foundation of the republic, it's a foundation to the economic system called capitalism, which means you must have a large, at least 5% of the population must be unemployed continuously. And from that unemployed field, you draw cheap labor. And then it is the African man and woman who is at the base of that American democracy. Metamorphosis.
I decide to move it dirty, Harry. It's but watch a man. Wednesday gone, I man forward up a carry him. And I man side one eye. Sure, that one a rain can dirty, me I tell you. You know, this one called screaming targets out tell you, you know. Songs called screaming targets out tell you. Bravo Rain, Kadam, Bravo Callahan, you know. No. What you say, no? Well, I say, yeah. Cause you should never say no. And I would do is say, yeah. And I bet you don't say no. No, what? No, nothing at all if you would say. Come on, I don't want to hear what you say. When it comes to say, shoo, day. Baby, come and stay to your home, babe. And when you're doing that, look at that. When you do that, that should be great. Really great. And baby, that you would appreciate. Baby, come on down, don't you be too illiterate. Illiterating is a thing that you should go away with. You gotta go and come. No. You should never be a fool. No, not at all. No, you should go to school and learn the rules. The little racy classes all around, as I would say. So you can go to a little red place, and so you can come together and civilize. What baby want to come and realize is how it is every day. Is how it is every day. Is how it is every day. You know.
The great democracy, the US of A, controlled by a small group of people, extremely wealthy and white. And this is the force that has been driving that major plantation from 1776. The white man declared independence. Set of men breaking away from Europe, from their cousins. Say they wanted religious freedom. And in his religious freedom, it was all about the pursuit of the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant agenda. White Anglo-Saxon Protestants. And it is these groups of persons who would set up the paperwork for America, the foundation of the United States, the Declaration of Independence. And the program started with a quotation from that declaration. And you have to understand now that the declaration is being made in the 1776. And at a time when the European did not view the African as a complete person. It was a time when the philosophy of race, degradation was high on the planet. And so when these white men gathered in America to set up their newly found independent colonies, they spoke about we, the people of the United States. Well, the Africans who are living there now must recognize that we did not include them. That we was not about we, the African people in America. It was about we, the white men in the United States. And in their declaration, they thought it pertinent that they make some statements that would be self-evident truths, as they call them. Self-evident truths, meaning you don't even question them. And amongst those self-evident truths is the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This, of course, did not apply to the Africans, because the Africans had no right to life, liberty, nor any happiness. Africans were condemned to a life of grief and death and suffering and starvation and oppression. So the American Constitution does not apply to black people in its original format. Black people were added on because of their struggles in the civil rights movements. They were added into the Constitution. So we have to recognize the reality when you see the grand jury making these decisions on black people in America. It's not about black people. America was never about black people except their labor. And we have to understand that place when you go there. Because a lot of people on the outside rushing into America thinking that they're going to be embraced by white people. There's no embrace unless they're going to embrace you on a farm or in a factory. Because that's what the plantation has been transformed into. Farms and factories. So we have to sight up America. Yeah, man, the ones who think that economics is what it's all about. We have to pay attention now to the race. This racial construction of this country, this great country. So capitalism, which is the monetary operation in that country now, it's really just an extension of the slavery. Because the economic system gives the African enough money to pay his rent and to travel and to get back to work. In the same way in the Caribbean, your salary for a month lasts 3 weeks and you borrow for 1 week. It's no different. Uncle Sam, which is that great extractor of money out of your pocket in America, Uncle Sam. And Uncle Sam draws on your money, you have to give him. And Uncle Sam takes 1/3 of your income. And your rent and your food is maybe another third, and you're left to battle with a third to keep going. So the plantation economic system has been given a nicer name. It's called capitalism. And the impression is that it is governed by a philosophy called laissez-faire, meaning you can do what you want. It's a free market. But a market is never free if you have no money. And those who control the market are the same ones who were the owners of the plantation. So that freeness is an illusion. That's a part of the illusion now of democracy. There's an illusion that you are free, and there's an illusion that you're equal. But that equality and that freedom is based upon an argument presented by those who are wealthy. So we have to look into this democracy thing, this democratic thing. There's a great American comedian, activist, speaker, Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory always speak about democracy and how America is going around forcing people to accept democracy. And Malcolm X says, if democracy is so good, why do you have to go around forcing it down the throats of other countries? Anything that is good, people will naturally take. So there's a problem with the democracy. We see a lot of mockery on the people. We see where the political system of the democracy is governed by white men, rich white males. You run up into a problem by the Bush and Reagan era. I'll get to that later on. Why they had to draw for a man of mixture. And at this point in time, that man has served his role. And the system is saying it's time for him to move on. We're going to explore that a little later in the metamorphosis. But the point I'm making in the early here is that the great democracy, the United States, a replica of Plato's Republic, is driven by slavery in its economic structure. And the slaves in America are the black people. That has not changed. Quite a few have made money out of entertainment, and they become first-class entertainers. But that's what they are, entertainers. No effect on the political or the economic structure. Entertainers, providing entertainment for the same wealthy owners, providing false hope for the majority poor that they all can make it as entertainers. It's time for a wake up to the metamorphosis.
Or are you seeking a place to rent, seeking employment, or have a job vacancy? Are you selling a car or having a garage sale? Then come see us. Let Styles do the advertising for you, and you'll be on your way in no time. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Advertising Style. Advertise with Styles.
Remember Styles FM on social media. View us on YouTube, Styles FM Radio. Follow us on Instagram at Styles FM. Like us on Twitter at Styles FM 961. Become a fan on Facebook, Styles FM 96.1.
For the best quality in sound reinforcement and backlining, Native Audio. We have professional engineers with over 20 years of experience. So call us and we'll take care of your parties, wedding receptions, barbecues, conferences, and small stage shows. Crystal clear sound, Native Audio. Our prices are the best. Call us at 871-5212. That's 871-5212. Native Audio. We make your events audible.
Portland, St. Mary's, Styles FM, the People's Station, is now on your radio. 96.1 and 96.7 on your FM band.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Styles FM, your northeastern radio station based in Portland, Jamaica. Tune in now.
Every one of us want progress, as I would say. But some of us can't stand success, as I would say. Why when one tries to do a thing of his own, you know, something kind of progressive. Yeah. Something kind of of your own. Time when you don't check what another person do, as I would say. Don't check them at all. Big thing. You got to learn to do one or thing, as I would say. Watch your step and don't you take no step, as I would say. The woman is the woman down there. The woman is the woman down there. The boom down there. The sun is the sun down there. The boom bubble gonna brother David down there. The boom down there. The umbrella David down there. And I don't know Goliath till the David slew him with a stone. David slew him with a marble stone down there. Come a minute, boom down there. With a marble stone down there. Little David do to big Goliath out there. You come to tell me that you are. You say that you are the follower. But I and I no follow. I create and I don't try to do other people's things out there. David boom down there. Righteousness stands forever, as I would say. Down there. You see the little kids going down the street this day. Love each and every one of them, as I would say. Down there. So your mama got to be down there. Your papa got to be down there. Each and every one of us has got to be down there. Got to come with love, as I would say. Love and happiness, as I would say.
So the America, United States is the greatest democracy. Greatest amount of freedom we hear is in America. Everybody wants to be free. Everybody wants to just go to this great land of the free and home of the brave. It used to be the home of the brave Indians. Now they took the Indians and reduced them to a baseball team. Yeah, the Atlanta Braves. That is the diminution of a people reduced to entertainment. They say the white man in America is a very serious and a very vicious kind of character. White man has not changed over the last 500 years. He has become more solidified in his activities. It has allowed him to consolidate his power. But nothing is forever in terms of structures. Structures are created and structures are destroyed. Structures are recreated. Change is the only constant. So, I must bear in mind and work towards that change. So you're living in this great democracy, land of the free white man. because the black people are under threat by the penal and the legal system. If a black man sneezes now, they will shoot him and say it was a preempted attack because he was probably had Ebola and was about to attack him. The police force created out of the slave patrols were set up to protect the state, not the people. And the people in America are protected because the people are the white people. In a place like Jamaica, no, the people are not the majority black people. The people are the minority 4% that control the economy here. And the police does the same thing. They protect the state. They're defenders of the status quo. Protectors of the rich. They're defenders of those who already have the wealth. So we say that this great America now is really crumbling at the edges. Because in this great land of freedom, and the freedom guaranteed by the Constitution of America, the right to speak, freedom of expression of thought, but there is no freedom against unemployment. There's no freedom against poor health. So, if we look at the nature of the freedoms within this democracy. So, shelter, food, and health services, education. You have no right to that in the democracy. You have no right to that. If you can't afford it, them say, dog, name your supper. So what kind of freedom is that? What kind of right is that when you don't have the right to shelter? In a small island like Cuba, in a small economy like Cuba, that has been blockaded by the great America for the last 40 years. The people of Cuba are guaranteed the right to shelter. Yeah, the first basic right is guaranteed in Cuba, which the great America does not even guarantee. They tell you that you can speak and say what you want in America. Even that is as a limitation, but shelter people. The first basic need is shelter. There is no guarantee of that in the great democracy. So food is not guaranteed either. There is no right to food in America. You have a right to die for hunger. And them say it's your choice because of this democracy and this laissez-faire, and you can do what you want. It's a great illusion. There are a great amount of ills in democracy. There are a lot of illusions of democracy. The political structure that you go out and you vote to define who becomes your leader in America. It is the colleges that define it. It is electoral colleges that define who's the president, not the people who vote. That's another illusion. So there needs to be an awakening of the African people, the black people in America, because the slumber started with the internet age. All the black people went into slumber right after the release Mandela. Globally, the chant that Mandela is free was over. Free Mandela came to a close. And with that freedom of Mandela and the releasing of the people of the Berlin Wall and the technology and the internet, black people were seduced into believing that they were now free. Everybody have them tablet and you're free. It's an illusion. The power rests in the penal system. Power rests in the economic system. And ultimately the power is controlled by the church. Because it is the church amongst the black people in America now that keeps the population calm. That keeps the suffering down. Distract you when you're going to rise up in opposition to the political and economic system. It is the church and Jesus that looks like the son of Sam. It is that same image that overpower you now. That you can't attack the white people because they look like your savior. A serious problem in the meditation. Charles Hales say the preacher must be made redundant. Yes, we must make that black preacher redundant who is carrying the word that the white Jesus is our salvation in the belly of the pit of the beast. It's not possible, pa. It's not possible. It is just not possible. 500 years in the belly of the beast shows the nature of the beast is not to change. You cannot love the beast anymore. Time for a different action. Democracy, capitalism, Christianity, the evil trinity around the necks of the black people. Yeah, man. Democracy, Christianity, capitalism. Tie we up. Control our meditation and our wealth. We are poor in our monies and we are tithing. Giving your money to the Almighty that looks like the same oppressor. It's impossible to build economics if you keep leaking out your money. A serious thing, we have to begin to think it out. Look into the images that we pray to. I know that we have been dealt these harsh blows of injustice. Do we still take it to the Lord? How can we take it to the Lord when the Lord look just like Wilson? The Lord look just like Zimmerman. The Lord to who we take our burdens to. We're tired of carrying the thing to the Lord and leave it because nothing is being done. We need to take it to the place where it must be taken to get a response. Yes, on the ground, not up in the sky. In Plato's Republic, the people who are brown, some can become silver, none can become gold. For the people who are silver, some can become gold. People who are gold remain gold. So in other words now, the slaves may, through fortune, move to the class of the silver. No further. Serious limitations in that great democracy. There is a ceiling. Yes, there is a racial ceiling in America. When you hit your head in that ceiling, they tell you the only way forward, you have to embrace a white, either male or female. And check it out. Look at the black entertainers who have achieved the highest level of success in America. 95% of them have a white companion. It's not accidental.
Who were the founders of science and of art?
Metamorphosis, moving into Alkebulan, our story, Kimit, our story from I and I perspective. You know, I keep wondering really what is the foundation of this hatred that is expressed by white people against Africans? What is the basic, what is it, what we do them? Where we do the white people? Where we do them people that them have us in such a low level of perception and reception, and I mean them actually treat their dogs better than how them treat I and I as a people. The barbarity, or you can take a piece of hot iron and put it in another person's flesh and say you put on your mark for sure, say you own them. Or can you apply that same treatment to the horse and to the goat and to the pig, to the man? It means that there has been a serious reduction in your meditation to think clearly. In other words, now the white man has a problem thinking because he has to delude himself and convince himself that I and I is not fully people. And in order for him to achieve that, he must have to deny our history. He has to ignore the reality that we are coming from and try to have us believe that we are coming out of a slave ship and that he has rescued us and has brought us into civilization. All that is fantasy. All that is illusion. Question still I asking, what is it that we do to white people, why them hate us so much? Or what is it that the white man hates in the people who have pigment in their skin? What is it about the pigment of the skin that the white man don't like? Because you have to ask the question from different angles. What is it about I and I that causes disgust in white people? That they would lie and steal and rob and pillage and destroy vast areas of land and institutions and symbols, lick off the nose off of the Sphinx, all this type of barbarity, lynching, raping. What is the motivation behind such a being who, on one hand, practices genocide, and the other hand, has a book in his hand called the Bible? And the Bible now is a book that is being used now to control the brain cells of those who are colonized and captured. So the black man in America now deeply locked into the Bible to such an extent that he is probably more into the Bible than the black man in the Caribbean. Because out in the Caribbean, Rastafari emerged as a resistance to colonialism through the religious teachings. Nothing like that ever appeared in America. The black man in America has been totally seduced and totally inundated with the teachings of King James philosophy. So the African has been beaten out of the black man in America through Christianity. All its various variations of believing in Jesus. And the Jesus image is that of the slave owner. So the black man in America is psychologically in a deeper enslavement to the white man. Because as he prays on Sunday to the sun to save them from the evils of the white man, the sun looks like the white man. Mental problem, psychological problems. And so the preacher man in America, that great black preacher man who has access to all these millions of dollars that black people are pouring in the name of the Lord, these people need to be made redundant. And those monies be transformed into savings and investments for black communities. Yeah, take the money out of the black churches and begin to build black communities and build better black schools. Hire teachers and pay them and upgrade the quality of education to the black youths in America and start balling upon government. So some of the problems in there are the same problems here. Where the Africans here are crying on the government, but here's a little bit different. Because here I know is a 96%. I is a majority. Being controlled by a small majority, 4%, of a different race. In America now, the black man is not really the majority in numbers. So it's a different situation. So it's in unity now, there's strength. And the unity must be driven by understanding our own story. That we were not created by the white man through any enslavement process. We have our own story before the white man was even created. We have our own black stories. We have the story of the Dogons. We know about Sirius. We know about Orion. We know about the constellations. All of these things we know long before we had contact with the white man. So all of his bragging and boasting and keeping I and I into a submission, I and I can free self through knowledge. And as long as we don't hold on to those false teachings, that white man save way, and that we're waiting on a son, just like Santa, to give us gifts, with some white man with some big white beard, bringing gifts and salvation to black people, what we shake off them kind of allegories. And when that is done, the African race will begin to rise up in their African knowledge of their own story.
Economic liberation is a duty I owe to posterity. Great Zimbabwe stands, ancient rock solid firm. Come now, Draco go down. Great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls. When they saw Zimbabwe walls, they said it was the foundation. They said it was the Syrian. They said it was the Chinese. When they saw Zimbabwe wall, they said it came from the Iberian. We know it is 100% African. Yaga yo, naga naga na Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls. So who your Vasco de Gama be? So who Prince Henry the Navigator be? So who was yours? So Walter Raleigh. So who was Amerigo Vespucci? Some kind of Johnny come lately, talking about them make some kind of discovery. Iman is the living anthropology. Iman is the living archaeology. Yaga yaga yo, Zimbabwe wall, great Zimbabwe wall, Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls. When they built up the Aswan Dam, it was the Western archaeologists' plan to flood with historical Sudanese land. Afraid of the glory of the Nubian, afraid you will see your connection. Yaga yo, to Zimbabwe. Great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls, great Zimbabwe walls.
So we hear that the Portuguese landed in West Africa in the 1400s and started their barbaric behavior of enslavement of African women and men and children. But the teachings of the story didn't tell you about what was happening in Zimbabwe, or what was happening in Mali, or what was happening in the Congo. It's a disconnection from our own story, which why the white man can speak as though he is the one who has brought us into any form of glory. It's us coming to the knowledge of ourselves that we bring knowledge to the white man. We taught the Greeks and we taught the Romans civilization. We gave the greatest white thinkers, Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates. We gave them the insights and we trained them how to think. We had them sitting at the feet of black man in ancient Egypt, learning about philosophy and astronomy. And these men will go back to their own societies and be condemned for speaking things that those people did not know. So we are the teachers. White man don't teach you nothing except about destruction and deception. And we have learned it very well. But before we got into his teachings, we were the foundation of all knowledge in the earth. All knowledge. Physics, mathematics, chemistry. Even the very word chem means black. So I will not be deceived by the deceiver in this great democracy, trying to convince I that I is free because I can vote for the people who he has selected and tell you that I must now choose in this illusion of this democracy, of this America. E pluribus unum. Out of many, one. Who is the many? Who is the one? So the first white people to ever make contact, as far as we know, with the African population were the Greeks. Before the Christian era, few thousand years before the Jesus of Nazareth was born. The Greeks coming out of the caves is the first set of white people who buck up people of melanin. And they were brought into culture and civilization by the great Egyptians and the Ethiopians. Introduced them to mathematics and introduced them to bathing and hygiene and all the various things that are required for a culture to evolve. This is long before the 1400s, long before the Portuguese land in the West. So for thousands of years before that, we were introducing white people to culture. And they began to steal our philosophy as they began to improve in themselves. Socrates and Aristotle and these guys began to steal the philosophies that were found in the libraries in ancient Ethiopia and in ancient Egypt. And Alexander invaded Egypt and burned the libraries and began to rewrite those books and re-sign them with different names. Plagiarism, robbery, intellectual robbery of the African people by the Greeks. So by the time them capture we and bring it into the Western world now, the Greeks are the gods. Can you imagine that? The same one who rob we become the gods of intellect and the gods of knowledge. And they have us now worshipping Aristotle. And we worship at the feet of Socrates and Plato. These are the robbers of I philosophy. And then they're going to try to tell us that we are inferior and that they are superior and that the image of God that they give us looks like them and that is superior. Our inferiority is based upon the white man's construction. It's a projection of his own inferiority. But we have internalized it over hundreds of years. And the process must now begin to deconstruct and to liberate our own selves with our own knowledge of Africa before the capture. And so the Africans are taken out of Africa through the Bible story. We are actually lifted out as a race, led out by this character called Moses, and taken out of our own culture and put into a book to be governed by preachers. And these preachers would whip up fear and damnation into the minds of African people to keep us calm on the plantations. So the concept of an American is really founded into those who were native to the continent. those natives have been reduced and the aliens have now become the dominant population. And it speak about having inalienable rights. These aliens. And those who have been enslaved and genocided out can no longer speak about rights. This democracy, this great democracy, is a great mockery. It's a mockery against the Indian people. It's a mockery against the African people. There is no free, dumb. Man must be free and wise. Liberation is greater than free, dumb. And so to take Africa even further from out of our consciousness, they have stopped time. The white man has stopped the movement of time and restarted time with the year 1, 2014 years ago. That is something to seriously think about. That the history of the Africans have been stopped and that time will be restarted again with the year 1. And now we are in the year 2014, in the year of their Lord. Yes. So really disconnected from consciousness. Because the period that they call BC, before the Christian era, the BC is going to come to a close. And the European is going to do the unheard of. It's going to stop time and restart time again at the year 1. And so all of you living today in the year 2014, it's difficult for you to speak about the 10,000 years prior to the birth of Jesus, because it is the birth of Jesus of Nazareth is used to stop the time. That is the signature that African history must stop. And it's a time for the European to rewrite world history, beginning with the year 1. And this year 1 now is the year of the Christian world. So that is the disconnection. Why we're feeling this oppression in 2014. We're not connected to Africa. We're not connected to our identities. And we're depending on these white structures for justice. Well, the grand juries of the United States are the evidence of just this.
And if you're ready, make we do it. And if you're ready, make we do it. Make we do it for Jah. Make we do it Rastafari. Make we do it the roots and culture. Make we do it. And if you're ready, make we do it. Make we do it.
And if you're ready, you can call me at 453-1444 locally. Or if you want to call me from overseas, area code 954-338-7973. Metamorphosis, Dr. Iman Blak. Make we do it.
ready, make we do it. And if you're ready, make we do it. And if you're ready, make we do it. And if you're ready, make we do it. I 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 make we do it. Make we do it for Jah. Make we do it. Rastafari. Make we do it. Roots and culture. I make we do it. 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 Rastafari.
Yes, my brother. Greetings, greetings. You're online. Metamorphosis.
All right, my brother. Yes, I hear you ask a very important question. Why the white man hate the black man so much? And you have to look back to our history. From the beginning of the Bible, Genesis, through the entire early stages, you see it's pure black man. All of the leaders them that they talk about, Abraham, all of them is black, pure black people. And then afterward, when you find out, you see what they do? Ban the Bible from us and give us no King James Version.
I see.
Which is just little scripts and pieces of it. And what do we see? We see now the white man in the early stages. You had the black man who is the original Jews, because if you look at Solomon, David, Abraham, all of them were Jews. And what we see today, them call themselves Jewish.
All right.
What them do? Them ban the Bible, the original Bible from us. Them call it the Maccabee and them ban it.
Yeah.
And what they do, that's what they study today, and they give us King James Version.
So you are saying that part of this. So what are you saying is really part of the reason why I'm really hate the black man? Is
Part of the reason why they hate the black man is because they took away our birthright.
Okay.
They took away our birthright and give us that little
what left?
synopsis
Yes.
about Esau and Jacob.
Okay. All right. So how you recommend that we deal with it then? How do we address the situation then to help our own selves?
How we address the situation is when we got to realize, first of all, that we the black are the true Jews. That's why they call themselves Jewish. And if you look at the suffix ish,
yeah,
it means pretending to be.
Okay, when you're ish.
Anything ish.
All right.
The suffix ish.
Seen?
That's why they call themselves Jewish.
I hear you.
And they are pretending to be Jews.
So that is saying that the original black people were Jews.
The original black people were Jews.
All right.
Why? They hate us like this. And if you go back and check the speech made by Willie James in Virginia then.
Yes.
You see exactly in there what he's saying when he's praising King James for giving this version of how to keep down the black race.
All right. I think you mean Willie Lynch.
Willie Lynch.
Yes, sir. Willie Lynch.
Sorry.
Yeah, man. We know. We understand. It just a song, but we over the picture totally. All right. I'm going to thank you for your input. Here, sir.
All right. I'm on.
And we're going to open to see if we can get any more responses. Give thanks. Here, sir.
Give thanks.
Rastafari.
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to dedicate this song to my mom. See, I just can't forget singing this song every Sunday morning.
Greetings coming in. Metamorphosis.
Yeah, my brother.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, man, like we have some people say, where before the world is built, right? Not never there in the world as what them say. The world never there.
All right.
Not never there. Where was then God? Where then God when live? Then like we have the Christian people then.
Oh, so come again. So you're saying to the people them now, before the world was made, where was them God?
Yeah, where was the Christian God?
Okay.
Where we live?
Well, I think they might answer the Christian God was in his kingdom.
I have to tell one what you say. Any time for your God, where your worship can work a miracle, make a 1 foot man or a 1 hand man get back in foot or in hand, we praise it.
Yeah, that one is steep, eh?
We praise it every time. That means it cannot work no miracle.
Yes. So it actually come down to maybe a discussion as to whose God is mighty, because apparently it's a matter of the power of your divinity. You know, is your divinity all powerful, or is there another divinity that is more powerful?
Yeah.
I don't know. You remember the movie with Moses and whose snake was stronger? And you know the battle between right and wrong and good and evil.
Yeah.
What we're going through?
So to a man say what he said to God. Not to me say God, the Bible must say God, Jacob was God that thing, and I say, yes, me see God face and Jacob not dead.
Yeah, well...
Most of me say, Christ revealed himself unto Jacob. So me say, God revealed himself unto Jacob. And he said, a man can't see him face. Me say, Christ, I know no God, because God is son that.
That is where the problem seems to rest, our understanding of this Trinity thing. The Trinity concept seems to have us, as a people, very confused.
Yeah, I'm thinking confused, man. I'm telling you what your Bible allegory, man.
Yes, that book of allegories, and I think we're not very strong in English language translation.
Yes.
And causing some...
What the man show me, so I tell me I can't do nothing about the Bible, man. I know my Bible, I know a Bible, man. He must tell me say the Bible, I tell him say a man to work 60 hours and 70 if he get married and 70 he must put to death. He must tell me say that in the Bible, can't cry. The English and the 70. It's a ill.
Yeah, the book is a problematic book in our lives. Maybe we need to find a way to just put it aside and maybe deal with the Egyptian text them. You know, and leave this one a little bit alone.
Yeah.
Give thanks for the input, brethren.
Yeah.
So where I calling from?
Port Marion.
Port Marion.
Port Marion.
St. Mary.
Yeah.
Heal up all the people in St. Mary. Give thanks for that. And heal up all the people in St. Mary. All right.
Yeah, this sounds good.
One love. So this song, Amazing Grace, we understand was sung by the African slaves while they were in the bottom of the pit. I just don't understand the connection between that particular song. I wonder if they were singing Amazing Race, that we were able to survive. Maybe it's Amazing Race, you know, more than Amazing Grace, because we don't know nobody named Grace. Yeah, maybe they were celebrating their own power, an amazing race. I don't know the rest of it. I have to check out the lyrics. But based upon the last two called us, that book called the Bible now, you know, is a real problematic in the life of the African people. Because although one virgin spoke about the characters in the Bible being black, Abraham and these other people, we have to be careful now, you know. Because the world that we live in, really and truly, is not just about black people and white people. We have millions and millions of Chinese that make up about 1 billion people, and there's the same amount of people who are Indians. And somehow we're not seeing these people now in that book. We're not seeing the Indians, and we're not seeing the Chinese in the book of the Genesis. So it seems to be something that has been fabricated to capture the minds of black people specifically. Yeah, in all of these genetic stories and creations of ribs and bones, we have to be careful how we read these allegories. And do we accept that the entire planet of African people were washed away, including the Chinese and the Indians, only to reappear in a boat? So, what the white man has been telling us, and he has documented in this book, we have to re-examine all of these things and see what is literal, what is metaphorical, what is African history, what is European construction of time and space. And it's in that searching out and moving beyond the plantation training that we begin to find our original selves. So, allegories about creation and sin and gods and goddesses and sons of gods. Again, we don't hear much women being spoken about. We don't know about the black woman. What is the role of the African woman in the book of Genesis? So that book don't deal with black woman. And do we agree? And do we have to accept that this Adam and Eve were Africans? I don't hold that story now. As much as they put the Bible story of the Genesis in Africa or near Africa, I'm not a part of the Adam and Eve story. I'm trying to make Adam and Eve African people. Because if you accept that allegory of Adam and Eve being Africans, then you have to accept that Noah is a reality. And you have to accept that everything in the book is a reality, including the virgin birth. And you get caught in the entire book. So part of the liberation of your own meditation is to sight up what is real, what is imaginary, what is fanciful in the writings of that King James version of reality.
To reduce my knowledge, because I will always break those barriers and break down bondage. Oh Lord God Almighty, grant me all privilege. You see, I have to overcome all the wicked, them and them false things.
So one brethren says, the white man hates us because of our genetic powers. because of our genetic superiority and their own genetic inferiority. That's coming out of Philip Taliver, somewhere out there in the North American plantation. Why do white people hate us? It is because of our superiority in our genetic makeup. And that's a serious biological argument. Superiority and inferiority, are they myths or are they realities?
In the process of time, we will know the truth. To give we white God to basic slavery. The doctrine follow on in the black community. The black messiah, you trying to shield with fantasy. But we're not gonna make you destroy the love with luxury. That's why you have to touch home. I have no place in Babylon. As I go, they make me victim of their unjust action. Oh God, I won't be conquered in this region. Oh yes, I have to stand and go strong. Don't tell me of your white God. Don't teach me anything wrong. Who the white God save me from white man oppress? I am no white God. It's just a black messiah. White God bless you, in a bless.
The Africans, before making contact with Europeans, had black gods and goddesses. Black pharaohs who were both male and female. Our gods were divine, and our goddesses were also divine. And we didn't have to talk about white or black because we had no comparison and contradiction. We have gods and goddesses. What the white man has done is taken our story. And if you read J.A. Rogers' book, From Superman to Man, you realize what has happened to us, that we were once a super race. A super race of people. That's why we could build all those pyramids and those giant heads that you've seen in Central America. A super race. A race of supermen. We have been reduced to man. From Superman to man. And then the European, now white man, has told us that now man, who we are now, we have been created now lower than the angels. And of course, all the angels are white. What a heavy, heavy psychology on our blackness. Yeah, it's a superiority versus inferiority complex. And the African is the superior in his genetic makeup. The African female can generate all different shades of melanin. Even the excessive or even the defective albino, mulatto, pigmentless child.
I am no white God. It's just a black messiah. If a white God don't bless, so him not bless. That's why me want what's rightful mine. So me not stay mute. Your system is designed to destroy. Yes, we're getting stronger. And Babylon I get weaker. Yes, we're stepping up stronger. Coming harder. Ain't looking back, feeling stronger. Ready to launch the attack. Do you remember when we were the cream of the crop? Is the Bible. And the carbon we got, they took us away from Africa with an intention to kill our culture. But through the power of the Most High, our mental capacity get wider. Coming harder, ain't looking back, feeling stronger. Ready to launch the attack. Do you remember when we were the cream of the crop? They stole our Bible. And the carbon we got, this is the time to lead that is one. Help your brother man from out of the slum, it's no crime. It's no that we run. To liberate yourself, you have to live in some. Coming harder, ain't looking back, feeling stronger. Ready to launch the attack. Do you remember when we were the cream of the crop?
Why is the African so hated? What is it that the African has done to the white man that has him into this position? That is being, it is the worst type of treatment handed out to any being on the planet. Any being. What has been doled out to the African. What is it that the African has done? What has he not done? It's very hard to identify it, you know, because when you check our story, we were never colonizers. We never captured anybody. We never captured people and tried to change their names. We never captured people and changed their religion. We never turned people from what you would call human beings into animals. We never castrate people. We never lynch people. What is it that I and I have done to white people to deserve and to earn this type of brutality? All in the name and under the guise of this great God above. We have been suffering under the watchful eyes of the great God above. This great big man that's sitting in the sky. Been watching our torment for 2,000 years. And having us believe that there is a big man up there. That is a big con now, you know. The white man was believing that there is some real big man up in the sky. And the big man don't look like I and I. The big man look like the white man. And we have been convinced that we're even afraid to think because the big man will hear us. This is the extent of the enslavement, you know. We can't think privately in our own brains because the big man above will hear us. And this big man have a long white beard. This big man look like Santa Claus. And this big man will punish you if you ever think anything rebellious. If you ever think too black, big man will punish you. And not only will he punish you, he has sent his son. And his son will now bear the burden for you. But they will murder his son. And his son will leave and will come back. And we shall wait here and wait on his son. So we wait and we pray. Wake up. Wake up. Afrocentric views and news around the world. Hail up to Doc Iman. That is my son's son, who have a son that make I who I is again another generation. Yes, and hail up to the ones in Australia, down under, rest of the family. Hail up to the people in North America, South America, Africa, Asia, European people, people in the UK, people right here in the Caribbean, and right on this island of Jamrock. Right here in Port Antonio, in St. Mary, great audience in St. Mary, great audience in St. Thomas. Love Jamaica, Kingston, St. Andrew, Montego Bay, St. Catherine, Linstead, all the people them locked into Metamorphosis. Rastafari.
Skies go. Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Oil wasted on the oceans and upon our seas. Fish full of mercury. Oh, mercy, mercy me. What they used to be. Radiation underground and in the sky. Animals and birds who live nearby our lives. Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. What about this overcrowded land? How much more will you from me? Mercy, can't you stand that? Oh,
Yeah, Black America. You know, there are a lot of youths who were born in the internet age. And let us say from 1990 onwards. I call it the beginning of the internet age. So a youth who was born 1990 would be 24 years old today. 25 years old. Considered to be a young man and positive and up and moving and probably knows things about the world. But oftentimes the youths who are in this generation don't really understand what took place even 50 years ago. And so when a youth see America today, a black man in America, and see the court system and see that injustice that is prevalent, it is good to understand where the thing is coming from. Is there any progression happening in America? Or is America becoming more brutal for black people? There's a time when it was an attractive place, really providing opportunities for employment, all different types of labor, because the society set up that way to attract low employment workers. So this massive unemployment pool that feeds into a democratic capitalist society is being fed by African people, Caribbean people, black people generally. So the emancipation in America released Africans from the plantation, cotton farms into factories. It also released an intellectual power, and the black man in America having access to universities, study, and become very politically astute. And we begin to demand rights. And these rights now were termed civil rights. Because you remember now, originally the black man wasn't even considered to be a citizen of America. So the protection of the citizen wasn't given to the black man. He had to earn it through struggle. And in that struggle now, we have this thing called the civil rights movement in America. And the civil rights movement in America has faced the wrath of the Ku Klux Klan and the white establishment. Because this is a force that has been set up to oppose black people from day one. So the civil rights movement in America, very, very active from the time of the Freedmen's Bureau. Black people have been agitating, been fighting against the lynch mobs, been fighting against slave codes, all sorts of legislation created by white people to oppress and frustrate black people and keep them as employees. Now, as the political consciousness grew in America, 1900s, 1920s, 30s, some significant black men rise up. This is after the Harriet Tubman and Nat Turner experience. This is the 50s onwards. One of the most prominent early resistance fighters in the political life of black people was Medgar Evers. Medgar Evers was one of the early black men who took it to them in argument and in reasoning. And of course, the white man responded with violence. So Medgar Evers was assassinated. But one assassination don't slow down an entire race, because they have killed millions of, we have lost millions and hundreds of thousands to the brutality of the white man. It has made the women become very fearful and very protective of black males, of the black male child. But it's those of us who have that natural internal drive for liberation, the mothers can't stop with. They can only plead. But in that plea, we have to make them know, say, this thing have to go on. So Medgar Evers went down. Malcolm X, another great resistance fighter who rose up in America through the penal system. Malcolm had to, like most black men, had to go to America to find himself, go to the prison to find himself. He become isolated from the total white structure. And in his isolation, he went into his own meditation. One of the things that Malcolm X entered early was a dictionary. And in that dictionary, Malcolm X began to explore the power of language. The same language that the white man would use and capture the imagination and the brains of black people. Use language, use words to overpower you. And you, lacking in the use of words, can't express yourself. So you become very frustrated and very angry. So Malcolm understood the power of language and became a great speaker and began to speak on behalf now of black people, black people's interests. This, of course, upset the white man. And the only way he deal with you when he's upset is his normal way, is violence. Malcolm X was assassinated. There are those who will say it was done by his own people, but in America, nothing is done by no own people. Everything is financed by the white man. To show the extent of his murderous hand, the American presidency is considered to be the highest office in the land. And in the great democracy, it's considered the greatest political position in the world, in democratic societies. They had the nerve to kill their own president because they shot John F. Kennedy in the head. This is the extent and the brutality now of the white man. And we should never be surprised at the level of his violence. What is disturbing is how we calm, and how we cool, and how we collective, and how we taking everything to the Lord in prayer. Yeah, we're not giving back no licks. We just take licks. How long? How long? So they assassinated John F. Kennedy. Kennedy was getting too close to black people and talking about civil rights. How dare him try to free black people politically. So he felt the bullet. Malcolm X, great speaker, felt the bullet. Robert F. Kennedy, a brother to John F. Kennedy, who had aspirations to become president, he too felt the bullet. So the point I'm making is that the white man in America is a violent man by nature, by practice, and by habit. And we can't forgive them for they know not what they're doing because they've been doing it so long that they become perfectionists at it. We can't love and be Christians to these people much more. Because Martin Luther King tried that. Martin Luther King came and he spoke again, great speaker, overstood the language, talk about the unity and the mixing of the races and that one great America is only him one was saying it. Because the white people in America don't accept that. They don't accept racial unity. They think it's about, it would be racial suicide if they were to unite with African people. They would become brown out genetically. So there's a group of white people who insist that they shall remain white. This is a group of white people who are totally racist and they're not into integration. They're not into the mixing of the races. They're into segregation. And so Malcolm X recognized that those forces were not for integration. Martin Luther King did not. And so segregation, integration is an illusion in that great democracy. It's an illusion because the white people do not want to live with black people. White people want to live alone. And there were groups in the 60s who said, yes, let them live alone, give the black people their own state. Something radical have to happen in America, you know, and the black man will have to be at the head of this. It can't be a response to the white man. There has to be some action that is driven out of self. So much struggle. And in this heat of violence and assassinations in the 60s, the civil rights movement impacted on the government. And they began to pass new laws to ease the pressure on black people. Pump more money now into education. And by the 60s, the black people were celebrating their freedom. So with education, the black people began to develop a greater level of self-respect. So the African people, the black people in America in the 60s, heading into the 70s, had this sense of rebirth of African consciousness, self-respect. Now for the man, them stop conk them ear and stop straighten them ear. Man start get natural in them thinking and them reasoning. Daughters them start grow them afro. Soul music, soul food, African-centered thinking. Yes, and the black people were on the rise to their own redemption in America, which by itself is another problem because you're still within that great white superstructure. But it was all great. Education, money liberated, money free up, enough programs. Yes, and the black people getting degrees, going to university. Iman, even in the 70s, was a beneficiary of this whole process. Money from the school and free books and the opportunity to get a degree and higher degrees. And the thing kind of opened up, all due to the struggle of the 50s and the 60s. Black Panther Party, anti-war revolution, anti-war movement. These are the times of the 70s when the black people were beginning to feel as though they were a force to be reckoned with. Not just in America, because the wave moves over the Caribbean. Rastafari emerge, reggae music emerge, third world thinking, non-alignment movement. The black people were on the move. And then. One of the ways that the black revolution was slowed down was by the introduction of drugs into black communities. Cocaine, amphetamines. Yeah, man, the pusher man started to invade the black communities and begin to give our youths all this type of drugs. Slow it down. Get we addicted. Get we off course. The white man never cease. Hey, I can accord two guys in the room. Man, everybody was a black brother, man. Everybody was a black sister. Soul brother, soul sister, man. Wearing the right garbs, man. Saying the right things. People thinking black. Black power. That's what was missing. Black power. And the need to develop black power. And this is very disturbing now to the power structure now, you know. Because Muhammad Ali spoke about black power. The Panthers spoke about black power. Very, very threatening. 1970s. Uprising of black consciousness.
You're damn right. Who is the man that would risk his neck for his brother, man? Can you dig it? Who's the cat that won't cop out when there's danger all about? Right on. They say this cat Shaft is a bad mother. I'm talking about Shaft. He's a
somebody that just loves to learn, and another child grows up to be somebody who just loves to burn. Mom loves the both of them. You see, it's in the blood. Both kids are good and bomb. Blood still a family affair. It's a family affair.
So we talk about that period in America when the black people were really moving towards family. Yeah, man, black brothers and black sisters recognizing the unity in their blackness. But then again, you know, while America was growing in its democracy and the black people were moving towards their own liberation, there were some serious things happening in the white society. Because in the early 70s, 72, there was an important break-in in a hotel by the politicians of America, the white politicians. This was called the Watergate. That was a hotel. And that started the scandal that bring the American presidency down to its knees. This is a great democracy. This is a great justice. This is a great white man in his great honesty, being brought to his greatest level of dishonesty, exposed. And for the first time, black people saw that the white man in America was a criminal. That the president of the United States perjured, commit perjury, lie in swearing on the Bible, swear on the King James Bible to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and turn around and lie. This is a man holding the highest office in the greatest democracy. And all of his agents, Haldeman, Dean, Ehrlichman, all of his accomplices, ripping off the society, staging a robbery in a hotel for information to maintain the presidency. This was very, very shocking because it brought America's morality to the ground. And this whole concept of democracy being led by honest white men was exposed. That all these men were crooks. Tricky Dicky, that was his name. The 1970s, vital period to black people, need to have that complete memory. Again, for the youths who have been born, who born from 1990 onward and are part of the internet age, they seem to have been disconnected from the reality of the 70s and the 60s and the 50s to understand why society operates the way it is today and the evil nature of a certain being that has been continuous from the 1700s, from the 1400s, from before the Christian era. So in the 1970s, now the white man began to show his real colors. The American presidency shows high immorality. The president has to resign. And in that resignation, enough things exposed about the powers of America, about the spy system, about the military-industrial complex that really runs the country, about Hollywood, about all the various institutions that maintain the plantation in its operation. So we find that 1977 is another important point in history of the struggle for black people, because the Americans would tangle with the Iranians for the first time. And the great America, with all its might and space program, would bow to the Iranians because of the oil issue. Ayatollah Khomeini versus Jimmy Carter. And Ayatollah won. Carter was a peanut farmer who was soft. Carter was not a war maker, was not a warmonger. And so again, the 70s exposed to us that the nature of the white man was about warmongering, and that the president of America had to be a war boat. Had to be a general who would unafraid of attacking even first. So the great white empire went into a bit of decline in the later part of the 70s, because the Iranians embarrassed the Americans by holding their spies in their office for over 100 days. And this is the first time America felt the lack of oil and that desperation and the idea to change their global philosophy towards energy. So that was a period when America decided that, look, we need to capture the Middle East. We need to capture those oil wells. We need to have a leader who will take war to the world. And that happened by 1980. Carter got one semester. One of the few presidents who got one term. And by the end of that term, the cowboy was back in the office. Ronald Reagan came to power in 1980. And all of the achievements of black people from the 50s right through the 70s will be turned back by Ronald Reagan and his Reaganomics.
Portlanders, Akan Auto Technology, located at 33 Bombrook Crescent, Port Antonio. Visit us for all your auto repair and servicing. We offer computerized wheel alignment, computerized wheel balancing, suspension checks, AC repair, inspection, and all your auto repair needs. For a complete auto repair and service, visit or call Akan Auto Technology today at 715-5205. And remember, we are located at 33 Bombrook Crescent.
Take us to work. Take us on the go. Take us wherever you go. Styles FM.
Take Styles FM with you on the go. The number for USA 213-992-4360. That's 213-992-4360. And for the United Kingdom, 033-0010-3322. That's 033-0010-3322.
Styles FM.
Hey, are you ready? You ready? All right. All right, let's go. Do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? Yes, it's on a Saturday. Every Saturday morning, live on Styles 96.1, the People Station. Here's an invitation to join yours truly, Colin Anthony, the man with all the money on it. The program is called Smooth Sailing. Every Saturday morning from 9 o'clock until 1 on the p.m. It's going to be on Styles FM 96.1. Have you got a plan? Oh, you've got a plan? We've got a plan. Do remember to join us. Smooth Sailing.
Hey, this is me, brother Gary. Tell us if you want to advertise anything you have, if you sell anything, truck, car, bus, anything you're keeping, make sure you advertise the past Styles FM. Call this number 439-5160. 439-5160. And I guarantee you, everybody I go into your business.
It is not good to travel today, neither across the ocean. There's Desert so dry, water thirst kill you. Too good to travel today, neither to cross the ocean. Desert so dry, water thirst kill you. Kill you, kill you, kill you. Kill you, kill you. When it wet, it's slippery. When it down, it cramp your belly. Don't want to see you on the ground. Don't want to see you on the ground. The ground, the ground, the ground. Caution, my brother, caution, take it. Black soul, you black as shame. So black, so black. So black, so black. I'm proud I'm black. I'm proud I'm black. I'm rejoicing I'm black. Who know black now go black again.
In the 1970s, all black people generally were very, very proud of being black. Yes, black was beautiful. Black is beautiful. Capital B-L-A-C-K. Right through the 70s. In the 70s, the period was called socialism. And all about sharing, communal living. And so the black people had this consciousness of being a third world person. Of unifying politically in the non-alignment movement. A great movement for black people globally. But then enter Ronald Reagan, enter Margaret Thatcher, enter the conservative era, enter Edward Seaga. And the entire Western world underwent economic upheaval that sent black people in a different direction, generally. Sent into the individual part. Everybody was sort of left to fend for themselves, every dog for themselves. Cost of living moved high and things just get skyrocket. Unemployment rise and the Reaganism, Thatcherism began to control the world economy. So within the whole mix now, black people begin to struggle now for economics now. Serious economic struggle. And the struggle for identity now put on the sidewalk. And it's all about the money now. It's all about the money. It's no longer about the consciousness and about the identity. It was about the money. And in pursuit of that money, much morality and much values were eroded. The notion of family took a beating within black people in the 80s. In a place like Jamaica, no families disrupted after the election violence of 1980s, of the 1980. Enough separation as people went into exodus, leaving children to live out of barrels. A whole destruction due to the economic climate of family systems right here in Jamaica, right in the Caribbean, right across North America. That whole black experience of the 70s would be totally repealed. So the evidence is there that in that great big democracy, when you apply pressure, the society eases up. It's called appeasement. And they give you some of what you are crying for. And when you get enough, same society begins to shut it down. And so the gains of the black people in the 1950s and 60s, it's very difficult to see the gains now. Because there's more barbarity now against black people than even in the days of the Civil War. So we have to try and check what's going on, you know. We have to look at the reversals that are taking place. So Reagan come to power. And black people begin to lose their identity as Africans. And you're being told that now we're living in a new world order. West Indian people were moved from living in the West Indies and they were put into a basin. So we were no longer West Indians when Reagan come to power. We now become people living in a Caribbean basin. And we wash the feet of white Americans or tourists in this basin. So the world was undergoing this transformation. And the black people were just apparently victims to the whole thing. And so as the 80s progressed, the gains of the 70s and the 60s would dissipate. And by the time we get to 1990, the end of the 80s, we're now moving into this era now called internet age or globalization. And within this age now, the new philosophy would be that there is no more racial identity. We now live in one village and we are all human beings. This is a philosophy now that will, if we embrace it as a people much longer, we won't be able to call ourselves Africans anymore. But we call ourselves humans. And when you begin to call yourself human, you're losing your divinity. Because the human, in its construction, is not a divine being. The human is an evolved product from primates, according to the teachings. So as African people now, we have to know who we are in 2014. We have to return to the foundation of identity as the globe tries to move away from ourselves into this universal figure that eventually will have no homeland. Because soon you're going to hear that you don't really belong to Africa anymore. No. You're a citizen of the world. You're no longer an African. And you can't claim Africa anymore. You have to claim everything. We will not fall into that kind of illusion. Because based upon our identity, we have a home. And the home is the continent of Africa. It is just that the continent of Africa now is being under duress by both the Chinese and the European and the Americans. It's an attempt to recolonize the continent. So, if you reduce the population of African people through genetic warfare or biological warfare, and encourage Africans philosophically to desire heaven rather than earth, then in a short span of time, Africa will be available and open to all nations who so desire it. The journey towards black identity must be resumed with a great intensity. It is this journey that will consolidate our race. And we cannot be in a position where we're going to ignore race. We have to look to Marcus Garvey, our great philosopher in the Western world. And this is Garvey's philosophy that guides us into the principle of race first. If we hold on to Garvey's philosophy and we embrace the teachings of His Imperial Majesty, we are on solid ground to resurrect our individuality and our collectivity as a people. Metamorphosis, Styles FM.
Styles.
One civilization is not complete without its art, the highest form of expression of human intelligence. You have become complacent, sitting down and allowing the other nations to run away with everything. You have become a bunch of consumers. You are creators. Rise up, mighty people, accomplish what you will. Without confidence, you're twice defeated in the race of life.
They took away the voices that gave the people pride. Now we're plunging into darkness. We all have to play our part, make a bold start. Every distract, tell every artist. Media houses we notice, tell them support the slackness. How so much alcohol in our parties. While the girls are broke out at this upper where she drink, knock her out. Now she no care with them proper up. It's times like these, I'm missing our heroes. Times like these, I really wish they were around. Shouldn't have to be like this.
So what is it about our people? What is it about our pigment? What is it about the pigment in the skin that is so disturbing to the white man? What is pigment? I need to check it out now. You know, what is this thing that we possess called pigment that is visible at the first look when you see us and could be part of the disturbance? We have pigment in our skin. We have pigment in our eyes. We have pigment in our ears. We have pigment in all our vital organs. But what is this thing called pigment? As black people, I should know that, because that's part of knowing yourself. What is the pigment in your skin? What is the function of that pigment? And is pigment only in the skin of the African? Or in the body of the African? And I'm saying to that, then pigment is also in the plant kingdom. We can find pigment in the green plants. And if you begin to examine what pigment is, you might discover that the powers that are really existing in black people. There's plant pigments and there is African man pigment. Pigment is a material. It's a substance. But it interacts with light. We're talking about sunlight, the creative energy, the power, the energy that keeps life on the planet moving. And our pigment interacts with light. But let me tell you about the pigment in the plant, because the pigment in the plant interacts with light and creates its own food. In other words, the green plant can create its own sugar. The green plant can feed itself. And in the plant kingdom, there are just two kinds of plants. The plants with pigment and the plants without pigment. In the plant kingdom, the plant with pigment can feed itself. It is self-reliant. In the plant kingdom, there are plants that have no pigment and cannot feed themselves. How do these plants survive? They survive as parasites. They live on the green plants, suck their energy. Parasites, saprophytes. This is the kingdom of the plants. This is nature at work. So the pigment functions through a process called photosynthesis. The pigment are cells, and these cells are called chlorophyll. These cells trap sunlight and interact with sunlight and carbon dioxide and create food. The power of the pigment in the plants. Let us imagine the power of the pigment in the black man. It is real. It is real.
Good God have mercy, hey. Good God have grace, hey. Lord have mercy, hey. Spirulina build up my confidence. Rastafari run the continent. This King Selassie, I pay the consequence. Don't get it confused. Lord, give me a buckle of spirulina and make me mix up the roots with Medina. Come off a tour and me knee feel weak, so me go a up road and go link Viva. What good for your nerves, so what's up and support a coconut water fi wash off your heart. Hey, nobody could have said Rasta soft. Me go link Viva fast and never fever grass. Hey, spirulina we blending, so you know I'll be spending every dollar out and me bill foul. Hey, a buckle of the green and it make me clean, so me skill like Alan still cold. If you not get it, you will lose. Make your food be your medicine your food. Blend up your carrot with the lettuce in a juice. No afraid fi mix the vegetable with the fruit. Lord, give me a buckle of spirulina and make me mix up the roots with Medina. Come off a tour and me knee feel weak, so me go a up road and go link Viva. Hey, give me a buckle of spirulina and make me mix up the roots with Medina. Me brother Teflon one give me a knees. We drive go a up road, go link Viva. Me a want you to take my body serious. I know anything can go in a me teacup. Me live like a king like niggas sneakers. Caesar drink rum till him body seize up. But me go link Viva, him got it right here. One buckle of spirulina and a cut a right here. Me no like weed, it's that a me worst nightmare. I no give me anything, no give me red stripe beer. Just give me a buckle of spirulina and make me mix up the roots with Medina. Come off a tour and me knee feel weak, so me go a up road and go link Viva. Boy, give me a buckle of spirulina and make me mix up the roots with Medina. Inna me house soon look like a creature. Call me go a up road, go link Viva. Buster, choose well. A buckle of Sabata, spirulina, coconut water, blood tonic. The whole world love chronic. Get it in your mind, if you not get it, you will lose. Your food be your medicine, your food. Blend up the carrot with the lettuce in a juice. And afraid to mix the vegetable with the fruit. Hey. Spirulina when we drink with Medina. Spirulina when we drink with Medina. Spirulina when we mix with Medina. Spirulina when we drink with Medina.
Yeah, that was a little conversation with my brother in Rasnastow, reminding us that Garvey did tell us about the importance of a race that has no power. And in other words, I'm soon tell you again, but a race without any authority and power, because you don't really know yourself and where you're coming from, it's hard to have any authority. But the knowledge that we want to look at now is the knowledge about the pigment in the skin. Because the pigmentation, there's the two words now. The word ATION is a suffix that means action. So pigmentation now is really the activity of the pigment. So there's an activity taking place within the pigment of our skin. But what is that activity? And maybe this is what the white man knows that we don't know. Why he have this great hatred towards us. Part of it is the power of our own pigment. What does the pigment do? We say within the plants, the pigment is a crucial element that makes the plants can survive. It interacts with sunlight through a process called photosynthesis and creates food. Not only create food for itself, it creates food for the animals to eat. It also creates food for man to eat, because man's natural food is the green plants. The green plants go further to create oxygen. So pigmentation within the plants is a life-sustaining activity. It keeps the entire planet functioning. If there's no plant pigmentation, there is no life on the planet. So I talk about the powers and the importance of pigment and its function at the plant level. So it gives you food, the plants give us medicine. The plants are for the healing of the African man, woman, and child. So the pigmentation of the plants, photosynthesis, transformation of light. The pigment have the capacity to absorb light and to reflect light. So light is really a combination of vibrations, what we call colors. So light is not white, which is the first part of the misteaching. Light is natural. And it is from this naturality come these various colors that we form the rainbow. So within the potential light, there are these various hues. Another word for color is hue. Now, the original being, the African, is always known as man. We never heard of an African human. We know about the African man, and that man means male and female. There is no African human, because hue is a prefix that is added on to man. Hue is a vibration. Hue means vibration. Hue means color. So the color man is not the African. The color man is a man who lacks pigment. The man who lacks melanin. That man is a color man. Because if you slap that man becomes red. If you lick him too hard, him get blue. When him coward, him get yellow. And then when envious, him get green. The human is not the African. The human is a white man. It is a white man that has hue. So the teachings of the philosophy about African being humans is an illusion. The African is man. And for those who like to use the scripture as their reference, the Genesis did say that the Creator said, let us make man. There is no concept of making a human in that book. So the man is the original being. The African is the original man. The original man is the pigment man. Because it's only the pigment man that could survive under the sun, which is the Almighty. And it's only the pigment man can use the rays of the sun to create his own energy. We know that vitamin D is created through sunlight. and the pigment of the skin? Is it the powers of the pigment why the African is hated? Only the African must check it out.
Yes,
And the pigmentation moves beyond the skin and the eyes. Pigment is deep in the brain of the African. We have many pigmented centers, pigmented consciousness, pigmented cells in the brain. These are the cells that give us those visions. When you bleach those cells, you lose your blackness and you become lightened in your meditation. Yes, we have our pigment cells in the brain, pigment cells in the skin, holding energy, solar energy within the skin of the African. Power in pigmentation.
Rasta fit when banks and enterprise. So me nah stop chanting, my soul enter Zion. Princes of fire, Babylon, me tell you your time just expire. What kind of wickedness me you transpire? And no gasoline and a tire. Eternal fire. Dirty Babylon, you want to get bruised. Me I want them fire. I said they just can't win, you're going lose. So we I want them. I beg you pack up and go. Me I tell you. I tell you pack up and go. When them a go with a key and saltfish ring, better them give me a key and garlic. Pass me a map and a compass on ya. Make me show them say saltfish no come from on ya. The fish they come a far away. They bring him all the way from Norway. Hey, I could the rest of them a try for trick, 'cause that can't be me national. This a eternal fire. And dirty Babylon you a go get bruised. Me a want them fire. I said they just can't win, you going lose. Granny killer want them move, yeah. I beg you back up and go. Me I tell you, I beg you move quick, back up and go. Tell me why every time I hear about Africa,
I say human is not man. Human is an evolution of the primates, according to Charles Darwin and accepted by great European scholars and thinkers. The African is not a product of animal evolution. African is a divine being, males and females, created by them. So in our attempt to find justice from the white man, that is also an illusion. Because the hatred for the white man, for the black man, is forever. Our pigment in our skin is forever. We will always be pigmented people. We will always be connected to the Almighty Sun, S-U-N. We are sun people. Ultimately, we are the superior people because of the pigmentation of the skin, not because of anything else. And because of the pigmentation of the brain, our thought processes operate at a different level. Our creativity is different and is reflected in our sciences, in our voodoo, in our obia, in our pyramids. It's a reflection of our intellect. It's the pyramids. It is a pigmentation that speeds up our thought processes. The power of the melanin. So until we begin to recognize that and reconnect ourselves and begin to look into our own selves for our own solutions, then we're going to be depending on the images that look like the colonizer. No more should we be taking our burdens to the Lord. We have abandoned that Lord concept and that concept of this white man God. Because there's no solution in the white man God, nor the white man church, nor the white man courts. We have to build black communities, black enterprise, take the money from the church and build up our own bank. Let the church them go on. The church have held us for centuries with this teaching about being gentle as a lamb and taking our burden and not seeking any revenge. Leave our revenge to the Lord. When the white man wants revenge, him fly and search the world and look for you. When him find you, his revenge is death. But if you begin to think. And
it's a protege, eh? Chronics are where you stay, eh? Okay.
Who knows? I just go where the trade wind blows, sending love to my friends and foes, and I suppose I'm pleased to be chilling in the West Indies. To provide all my wants and needs. I got the sunshine, rivers and trees. Relief. Hey.
When me see Jah, me see a way. Drastically straight from hypocrisy, I say, hey. Every man to them own a philosophy. I live the proper way and then me read a chapter daily. Man, they in a city hungry and no eat. And food they down a country, just a drop off of the tree then. To see say poverty no real then, is what the reason revealing.
Who knows?
What the reason revealing is that when Obama finally got into the White House, it sent all white people into a tizzy. The ultimate is that the man of melanin got into the White House. And nobody is more disturbed about that than the white people in general. And so the brutality they are expressing now is under the guise of democracy. But it's really them hurt. They never thought that a melanin man would leave the plantation and occupy their prestigious White House. And so you see more brutality in America now since Obama is in office. It's like the white man them get a license now to lynch again. But the lynching is being committed by institutionalized forces like the police. And if George Bush was in office when these things were going on, it would look like racism because the white man president is there and the white people are killing black people. But Obama is in the office, so the white people killing off the black people, it's like we can't say nothing because the black man in the power house, so we can't say nothing. Amen. It's anger. And the Ku Klux Klan and American whites want back them country. Black people must begin to want back Africa. Yeah, if them want back them America, we must begin to claim Africa in the fullness, with the money and with the power and without the white man God. We have to think black. And thinking black doesn't make you a racist. It simply makes you racial and conscious that race first is the way forward. The concept of race first suggests that you respect your race first and then you respect all races after. And then it works a different way because when you respect yourself as a race, other races will respect you. People respect you when you respect yourself. If you lack self-respect, you can't expect to be respected by anybody, not even your closest friend. So self-respect racially is crucial. We need racial self-respect. And once we get that going, we begin to develop the economics and the social and the political. But self-respect, care, and not into self-love, you know. I think self-love is just as destructive as self-hate. Because self-love means you're adoring yourself. You have no time for anyone else. Narcissism is a negative attitude. We don't need any more self-love. And all these people loving themselves. You love yourself, you can't love nobody else. You care for yourself, and you respect for yourself, you respect others. So self-love and self-hate, both ends of the spectrum, not productive from my point of view. Metamorphosis, Dr. Iman Blak on Stars FM.
I'm the captain of my soul, His Majesty, Big Marcus Garvey.
Race without power, respect. Race without self-respect is a race without any power. You have to have respect of yourself before you can begin to generate power within. Hail up Ross Makonnen, hail up Osa Osabora, hail up to all affiliates of the Rastafari University of Higher Life Learning. Hail up to all the ones who made calls tonight, today, Rasnas Tower, Manaman, Facebook, people who text. Contribution is invaluable. Respect continually. Styles FM is the place. Metamorphosis is the program. Iman Blak is your host. For the most, not the least, certainly the best. Give thanks for the presence of our engineer, Cassidy, and all the people them out there who making sure say, and I keep it black out.
This is Styles FM 96.1 on your FM dial.